All right, the presentation
Okay,
started.
so this is our Zombieland third person game shooter presentation. I'm gonna go into introduction. So, welcome to Zombie Survival Game. Get ready to dive into a thrilling third person shooter where you can play as various characters, each with their own unique personality. You find an array of cool weapons and vehicles to help you navigate creepy, flooded world overrun by zombies with exciting missions, endless zombie battles, and this game promises a non-stop action and adventure. For team roles, my name is Salman Khan. I was the lead developer and the game designer. I was responsible for creating the players. I developed three unique characters with custom movements, mechanic using Miximo models. I was also responsible for vehicle integration. I added the cars for the gameplay and configured them to make it work. I was also responsible for creating the weapon system. I integrated weapon into the game. I also worked on main menu design, uh, the whole menu system, and I did the scripting and coding for player movements, the vehicle, and the weapons. And I was also responsible for setting up the Unity Cloud collaboration so we can all work together.
Hello, my name is Lucas Freire. I was also a game designer and I mainly worked on the encounter design. So I created the enemies, which included four zombies with multiple animations, multiple models, and two different types of behaviors. I also implemented the damage system so that the zombies can die and the zombies can interact with the player and the player can interact with the zombies. The next main thing I worked on was the objective system, so I created five unique objectives according to game design that John worked on. And then next on, I worked on the event design, so I implemented a zombie event spawner so that there is a good flow between action and then completing a mission. I also created a couple pickup items, including health and ammo. The next thing I did was the player UI, which included an objective tracker, a health bar, and an ammo text that constantly updates to inform the user. And finally, I also implemented the audio into the game.
Uh, Hello, my name is John Lee, and I was in charge of making the environment and level design. One of the first start for it was sculpting the terrain. So we started with a basic flat terrain, and then with help of some toolkits that we found, we were able to sculpt the landscape as we needed, along with adding trees and other props. I also made some of the assets made from already pre-created models by putting them together and turned them into a prefab. I also helped, and hand in hand with the objective system, created the actual level by manipulating the landscape to ensure that the objectives that we're trying to reach are fun and also transition properly. I also tested to make sure that as the player moves, that the landscape doesn't impede them from moving into other objectives, or they may get stuck in certain areas.
Okay.
Next one.
Okay, so our design goals were to create a fun and engaging zombie survival game in a third person shooter format. We aim to develop a diverse characters, a variety of weapon, and an immersive environment. Initially, we considered a first person shooter perspective, but later decided on a third person view for better gameplay experience. We started with a pre-made environment from Unity Store called Flooded Ground, but chose to create a custom environment to better suit our game's theme. On this slide, I'm showcasing the various assets we used in our game development. These assets were crucial in building a visually appealing and engaging game, enhancing both the visual and interactive elements of our gameplay. And then here's another slide. These are all the assets we used. And this is the main menu interface that I created. Our main menu is designed for simplicity and ease of use. The play button quickly starts the game, inviting players to jump straight into the action. The option menu allows for easy customization of characters and game settings, ensuring a personalized experience. Lastly, the quit button is clearly marked, providing a straightforward exit from the game. And this layout ensures a seamless and user-friendly navigation from the moment player launches the game. And the character selection screen is a crucial part of our game, allowing players to choose their avatar from a diverse set of characters. This interface is designed to be straightforward and visually appealing, helping players quickly select their preferred character to navigate the game's challenges. And next up, our pause menu is designed to be simple and efficient. The resume button lets player quickly return to the game, minimizing the interruption. The main menu option provides easy access back to the main menu for adjusting settings or restarting without exiting the game. And finally, the quit button offers a straightforward way to exit the game. We use Unity Cinemachine to create a smooth and dynamic third-person camera, allowing us to easily manage and adjust camera behavior to follow the player seamlessly. Additionally, we implemented an aim canvas with visual reticle to help player aim their weapon accurately. This canvas is linked to the camera, ensuring it stays aligned with the player's aiming direction for precise targeting. And for character development, we use Unity Animator Controller to define and manage animation for various actions like idle, walking, running, shooting, jumping, and reloading. And we set up a state transition to make these animation fluid and responsive. We imported models and animation from Mixamo and integrated them into the game, ensuring smooth movement and interaction. By linking these animations to script, we enable the characters to respond accurately to player controls, enhancing the overall gameplay experience. And this slide highlights our vehicle control system. The inspector view shows the setup, including configured wheel colliders and transforms for each wheel to handle physics interaction. And we fine-tune settings like acceleration force, braking force, and steering torque. The code snippets demonstrates core function, and the move vehicle, as you can see, controls the acceleration by applying motor torque based on player input, and the vehicle steering manages the steering mechanic by adjusting the wheel angles according to the input, ensuring a smooth vehicle movement and control. And our rifle system uses ray casting to detect targets within the shooting range, logging hits and applying effects like damage or spawning blood on the screen. Uh, the shooting and animation handling code ensures smooth gameplay by updating animation based on player input, managing cooldowns between action, and allowing seamless rifle pickup by checking player proximity and switching the rifle active state. And
Oh,
go ahead, Lucas.
okay. So I worked on the zombie scripts and behavior. So the way the zombies work is that they have two radiuses that are attached to each zombie. One to see whether the zombie is within the vision range of the zombie, and one to see if it's in the attack range. So if a player, which is referenced from a game object inside the script, goes within the vision range, the zombie will go from a guard, which it walks between two empty objects. It will go into a pursue player function, which will make the zombie move towards the player and play the running animation. And then once the zombie is close enough to attack, it will play an attack animation. There is a camera attached to a zombie to send a raycast to find the player model. This will then call a function to inflict damage to the player health bar variable from the referenced game object of the player. Okay. Here's the part 2 on how the zombies are set up. So as seen before, the zombie prefabs consist of the animation controller with 4 main animations and a camera for attacks. And then it also has a look point attached to every player, which is kind of what makes the zombies be able to rotate to look at the player when they're running. And then it has walk points for traversal. So those are just set inside the Unity world. so that the zombies can patrol a certain area. And then that's how the animation controller is set up, with 4 different animations for the zombies, including the death animation. And then there's a second type of zombie where instead of patrolling between a couple areas, it will simply do an idle function, where it basically just stands still instead of patrolling. And then finally, here's how the damage system was implemented from Salmon's rifle. It works both ways, from zombie to player and player to zombie. Each one has a reference to each other. In the zombies case, when the player does the shoot function, the raycast will check to see if it hit a zombie, either one of the 2 zombie types, and then it will give the damage to the zombie. And every zombie, both of the zombie scripts have a zombie hit damage, which takes in a variable. It works very similarly to the object to hit system, where instead of some objects in the game are destructible, so it will take in damage, but it will just destroy the object and play an animation there instead of the zombie. And then once the zombies have taken in enough damage, it will play a zombie die animation, where the zombie will stop moving, play a die animation, and then eventually be destroyed. This is the zombie spawner, which is a box collider with a trigger effect on it. When a player steps inside the collider, a message and sound effect will play in the UI, and then the spawner will spawn zombies until the object itself is destroyed. Okay. Fine. And then there's the objective system. The objective code works in 2 parts. One of them is that there are 5 different objectives with different scripts around the map, and then there is an objectives done script, which is attached to the player UI. And then the objectives done script has a getObjectiveDone function, which takes in several booleans to see whether certain missions have been completed. So after you complete the first mission, it'll send in 1 true boolean to update the message text to find the supplies, and then give supplies to the survivors, and etc. Various items and box colliders in the map contain this function, including getting into a car, picking up a rifle. So there is a dynamic array of missions. Here is how the player UI is set up. So first is the objective tracker, which is basically just a canvas, but it has a TMP text file which updates depending on the objective script from the previous slide. Then there is a health UI, where the player has a health variable attached to them, including a max health and then their current health. And so whenever a player spawns in, it will do a give full health function, which sets the health bar at max. And then there is the set health function, which will constantly update depending on what the current health of the player is. Next is the ammo script, which is 2 TMP text files, which constantly update to present the ammo and magazine variables from inside the rifle function, rifle script. Here's the health boxes and ammo. It works pretty simply, where it'll just update the UI and the actual variable. Once a player is within range and presses F, the box will then play a sound and an animation, and then it'll be destroyed. And then the audio. Most of the audio in the game consists of creating an audio source onto the player, or giving the audio source onto a certain object, and then in the script it'll just find the audio source that's already attached to the object, and then giving an audio clip. In the case of the footsteps, it's more unique, where for every animation inside the animation editor, I had to create a step function for every time a footstep happened in an animation. And anytime a step happened, it would play a step function inside of a script attached to that certain object, where it would then play the audio clip of a footstep. Jean?
Alright. For the level design that we had for the game, we decided to make the objective of the game to follow specific zones. As we move to the different zones, you get different tasks along with change in the environment as we move on. For example, we have our zone 0 where we start, and we'll end within a zone 3. We tried to make it not a semi-open world where players can freely move, but they are limited due to how the terrain is created. And this gives a sense of some freedom in the map, but also still gives them some intuitions where to go. We have events occur plenty of times within our game. Some will be within the zones, whereas others will be in what we'll call it in between zones. And the player will essentially, as they traverse, the zombies are hidden within certain areas using props or walls to make it seem as if when they're spawned in, they're just naturally coming out of buildings or through certain woods. Yeah, go ahead, next one. Here's an example of or images of each of the zones that we have. So as the starting zone, we have the church where the player will start. And as they move on, they will go into an in-between zone, such as this center image. This one specifically is for the one between zone 1 and 2. But each one of these in-between zones will have some event going on, such as maybe zombies appearing. And as you can see, as we go from zone 1 into zone 2 is more of a village area. And then once we go to zone 3 or zone 2, it's a much more town-like looking area. And then finally, once we reach the last zone in zone 3, it's a little more industrialized. So it shows some progression in the environment as we move through it. Next one. For the terrain sculpting, as I said, we started with almost a blank, essentially canvas for our terrain. And we had a very specific toolkit put into it so that we can put in things such as trees and also create depth and height in the terrain to create images such as the one on the left. This really took some time to figure out how to use it properly, but once you got the hang of it, we were able to create terrains in however we wanted.
Okay. Let's run the thing. I am recording. Okay. Are you guys watching the stream?
Yes.
Okay. So some of the assets inside the slides may have changed a bit from the final product, but for the most part, all of the code is still the same. Okay, so here's the menu. We could press the play button, but we can also go into the option settings to pick a different character. In this build, we have 2 different characters with unique animation sets. I'm going to pick this one. As you can see, there's a zombie in front of here, and our mission is to pick up the rifle and escape the church. And then there's the health bar working at the bottom. So right now all we have is this punch. And then here's the pickup rifle. So now I have a rifle, and then I can shoot the zombie. And then I ran out of ammunition, so I had to reload. There's only one place for me to go, and it's down this path. And the zombies are approaching. You can hear their footsteps. See, the zombie is pursuing the player, and then once it's close enough, it'll attack, and then a damage canvas will appear, as well as damage the player. Here we go. And then we have made it to our second objective. And here's some health and ammo, so I can resupply. And then here is the objective. here. It's more of a wooded area. Be kind of careful.
As Lucas is moving through here, just to add, this is, for example, one of the, again, in-between zones. Or as he moved out from zone 1 going to zone 2, this is one of the environments.
And as I move here, there's kind of an audio source that's a little spear. It'll play this like wind blowing animation. So the zombie pretraps for the events, it's actually a different prefab from the normal zombies, so that they have a longer vision range, and that so a multiple of these zombies can immediately start chasing the player, and give a more of a sense that they have to do something about it. We're approaching the third zone, or the second zone, actually.
This is the, well, zone number 2.
Yeah. Exactly. Here's another sound effect. So we use kind of an older sort of navigation set. Here's some of the NPCs, and they all have doing animations, such as the medic, and these guys are like arguing over each other. Yeah, so the navigation is a bit old, but it still works where the objects can still detect where zombies are standing in the environment.
Just to add, this is another audio that's put into that area.
Mhm. Seems to be zombies around the car. Try and top off. Here's the car that someone worked on. There seems to be something in the way, but this is a big car. Should be fine. You can also run over zombies. I can apply the brakes, which slow this down a little bit. Zombies are just standing there. Oh, seems to be something.
Damn,
It's
brake.
out of the car. I know. Off the car. Seems to be the scaffolding in the way. The zombies should be probably a police building. So, police zombies.
Don't die.
I know. I made it so you can't move when you reload, so it's a bit riskier when you
Yeah.
pull it off.
Is there a health pack nearby? You might need help.
I think I picked up the last one, but I think we're close to the end of the demo. So I just have to be careful. And I'm looking for the extraction zone. You can see it there in the horizon. Shoot the zombies outside of the moving range. Okay. Seems to be a bunch of cars here, so this must be the extraction zone. And then we've made it. That is the end of our demo. And then obviously the quit buttons and things like that still work.
Yeah, I just want to mention, like, we did lose some of the aspect of the game when we did the whole merge. the final merge, so some of the settings and the options and animations were lost, but we tried our best to have a final version with at least 2 players that are still working.
Yeah.
But if we had more time, we could have fixed some of the bugs that we are
Yeah,
currently
there's
facing.
bugs and stuff to work on, but there is with any game, so it's always hard to take it away from developers.
Yeah.
Okay. Here are the challenges. John?
Right. For the challenges, so we just had to split into the 4 sections. Uh, so for the environment setting, this may or may not have been our hardest one because to initially get it started, not even to just start from scratch, but just to get all the environment set up, uh, was pretty hard in the beginning. Uh, Eventually, Salman got. Well, I decided to try to create with GitHub, but then the files were too big. So eventually, Salman decided to instead make it off the Unity version control. There was some learning curve doing it, but eventually we got it set up. Because of that, there were some delays, but then uh, we also needed an environment, which we were initially going to use a pre-made one, but eventually I decided to just make one instead. And while they were working on theirs on different terrain, I was working on mine. Once we got the terrain working, some of the functionalities were lost, but we recreated most of them back, so we got the most important part back at least. And yeah, for lessons learned, essentially having all the environments, everything set beforehand would help a lot. And
Yeah.
then obviously with the team proficiency, if we chose it all before as well.
Yeah, I'd like to mention that Unity version control uses something called Plastic SCM, which was really a learning curve because I don't think, at least I hadn't used it before, so it was definitely like weird learning it and how to merge all the branches and make sure we can all collaborate on the project. And I think that is the end of our presentation. So thank you, Professor. If you guys would like to say goodbye.
Yep. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you for this, master.
Okay.